follow on from the basics of helical knitting video that I've done, I want to show you sort of some of the next steps that you might want to consider if you're working a pattern. So this is a 3-row helical stripe, and this is not dissimilar to my Winter Grove pattern, which has some shaping in it. So if you were going to do shaping, it is and sort of a pattern with what you're doing is working out where you are, because as you're going around with your 3 colours, you can't count your rows in a normal way. Normally, every time you pass the marker, you could mark that as a row done, but unfortunately with helical knitting, every time you pass a marker with 1 colour, you could have only just done a third of a round, so it doesn't quite work the same way. What you can do, and what I sort of find the easiest way to work it out, is to count your rows. So I want to work 8 rows, and then I'm going to do a shaping row. So here I've done, so my green on the Winter Grove pattern, for example, this green isn't your first row. This is your cast on and your setup. So you're counting from the red. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the other way to count is because in the Winter Grove I have used the decrease round on the green yarn every time. So that means then it must be on every third green round is your decrease round. So not counting, this is your cast on and setup. 1, 2, and as my green yarn comes around to this is the beginning of the round, I will be about to start my decrease round. So that's one way of telling by counting how many rows or how many stripes that you've got going on. So I'm about to come to the beginning of the round with my green yarn, so I can start to do my shaping round. So that means that I'm just going to get to the end of the round. So what I tend to do is that whenever I get to the beginning of the round with my green yarn, I will check how many I've done and whether it's just a plain round or a shaping round that I need to work. And if you're using the red or the white yarns, then you don't need to worry about it. It's knit every time. So if, for example, if you were to do a 2-row stripe and you were doing gusset decreases, for example, gusset decreases tend to be worked every other round. So if you're using 2 colours, that works perfectly. One will be doing your decrease round and one will be doing the plain round. So just make a note of which one's doing your decrease. So I'm beginning my round and I'm about to do my 3rd green. So I'm on a decrease. So I'm going to do 9. This is different to the pattern. I'm doing it because I cast on a different amount. Actually, I'm going to do 8 just to show you. So 2, 4, 6, 8, and I'm going to do my decrease. So I've got space to do my decrease. And as it happens, I'm about to hit my colour change. So I'm just going to leave that now, and that means that I have only finished part of my decrease round. Now, if you can't read your knitting, you don't know where you've done your decreases, write down what part of the pattern you've done. So I would be writing down, I've knit 8 and I've done a knit 2 together. And that's where I need, as I come back, I'll do another knit 8. So I'm just going to go all the way around again. So I'm doing my white round. So I'm going to work to 3 stitches before my red. Slip those 3. And now I'm going to, my next colour change will be to my green again, so I can continue working my shaping round. So I'm going to work to my 3 stitches before my green yarn, which is here. Now the way I do it, I can see I've done a decrease there, so I know which part of my pattern is, but if not, just check what your note was, where you were. So I've done my decrease. I'm going to do another knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I'm now going to drop it, and what I could write down is I need to start to do knit 1, knit 2 together when I come back to it. So as you can see, when you're doing a decrease round, the good chance is you are going to have to work at least 2 or 3 times to get all the way around. Now there are the odd example where you can't get your decrease in, so I'm just going to change the pattern slightly to show you. So say for example that I have knit here and I've got 4 stitches left and I need to do a knit 2 together, but that goes into my 3 stitches, my slip. That's fine, because the 3 stitches there to keep your tension even. Every now and again if you do 2, it's not going to be noticeable. So I'm going to do my knit 2 together, and then instead of slipping 3, I'm just going to slip those 2 instead. So if you're doing a decrease and you need to fit it in, you can do that. Increases, it's not a problem because you're just adding a stitch in, so it's not normally an issue. And what I would recommend is when to sort of keep track of what you're doing and where you are, is use these very useful little fellas, these lockable stitch markers. And when I was sort of saying earlier where to count your rows, so this is my first green, second green, third green. So this green round has been my decrease round. So just to give myself a reminder that that was my decrease round, rather than having to count from the beginning every time, put a marker in to that green round. So that means that next time when I come round, I can just check that there's 2 green rounds, and on the third one I can do my next decrease round. Obviously if you've got different counts, then you do different things, but so I will then go round again, and when I come back here I can hopefully finish off the final pass of the decrease. So I'm just reaching my green yarn again, so slipping 3, picking up my green yarn and starting on the shaping round where we left off on the last go. So I had changed the pattern size, so I'm on the knit 2 together again. So I'm going to knit, let's go 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's my decrease, and then I'm just going to knit to the end. Obviously a normal pattern would have a lot better shaping round than I've just done, but so I've got back to my beginning of the round again, and now I have completed my first full shaping round in my green. So the next sort of 8 rounds of knitting are going to be, well, it's not quite 8 because you've already done a little bit of your red and your white. The next few rounds until you get to the next decrease round, you're going to be knitting with this for the Winter Grove pattern.